the Cabinet meeting. Okay, agenda item 1 is appointment of chairperson. I'm happy to chair. Could I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Well, Cadeirydd, pleased to propose.
Thank you, Alan.
Second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Agenda item 2 is the chair's announcement. So, Prynawn da, good afternoon and welcome to the special meeting of Cabinet on the 25th of April 2023. I am Councillor Steve Hunt, leader, Neath Talbot County Borough Council. Can I welcome members of the public viewing this meeting, and could I ask them to please ensure that their microphones are switched off? You are here to observe the meeting only. Members and officers, please ensure that your phones are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting and that your microphones are also switched to mute unless you are speaking. In addition, when asked to raise your hand, if members are virtually attending the meeting, could raise your electronic hands. For members physically present, just raise your hand. Can I just say on the announcements as well, thank Phil Rogers, the Chair of Scrutiny this afternoon, and all members for a thorough scrutiny of the agenda items. A lot of points were raised, a lot of suggestions was made, and I know officers took them on board and will be taking them away to implement them into some of the points that you made. So thank you all for that. I thoroughly thought it was a very, very good scrutiny exercise this afternoon. Agenda item 3 is declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Please would members say what the items are and what the interest is. And if there are any, Tammy will forward an electronic version of the form for you to complete and email back to her. So are there any declarations of interest, please?
I see no hands, Chair.
And none raised in the chambers. Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 4 are the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 5th of April 2023. I refer you now to page 3 and from 3 to 6 of your agenda pack. They're here for approval of accuracy. So can I ask members if they have any comments on the accuracy first? I see none. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Well, you're pleased to second.
Thank you, Alan. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you are content with the accuracy of those minutes, and Tammy will once more confirm this, please.
I see no indications to the contrary, Chair.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 5 is the public question time. I have received no notification from the public to speak at today's meeting. So I'll move on to agenda item 6, which is the Welsh language strategy. This report is on pages 7 to 18 and is here for a decision. So can I ask officers if they have anything further to add? What was it? That's what you've got as well, is it? Welsh language, I got. Right, it's 7 I've got it as. So is the Welsh language strategy supposed to be here today? It's in Tammy's and on mine.
Yeah.
Maybe. Sorry? Oh? Okay. Right, have you got that on your computer? Because I haven't got that here. Apologies. We'll have a look at that now. Are the rest are right, though, are they? Right, where's the anti-fraud one? Have you got it?
Just to apologise, there was an admin error with the briefing note. The circulated report pack is correct. Our members have received and read this information today.
Have you got the one on there that I need to read out?
It's the same as that, Chair, if you want to follow that, but we'll substitute the Welsh language strategy for the words anti-fraud and corruption strategy.
Apologies.
My apology.
Members, you've heard of Tammy's explanation. So it's still the report of the anti-fraud strategy is on pages 7 to 18 and it's here for a decision. So officers, have you anything further to add? I've got a few officers out there as well. Sorry, you. Have you got anything to add?
I was starting to wonder, Chair, what you would add on the Welsh language strategy, but no, I think the report and strategy are fairly self-explanatory, and the recommendations on page 8 of the report, Chair. So happy to take any questions if members have got any. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hugh. Members, do you have any questions? I see none. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 8 and the associated appendices contained within your agenda pack. I will propose this item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? I see none. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you are in favour of the recommendations, and Tammy will once more confirm.
I see no indications to the contrary, Chair.
Paper's gone.
So that anti-fraud and corruption strategy has been approved, Chair.
Sorry, excuse me, I've lost the sheet of paper again. That's it. I do apologise, everybody. It's one of those days, I think. Okay, agenda item 7 is the draft public participation strategy. The report is on pages 19 to 122 and is here for a decision. However, I would draw members' attention to the updated version, which was circulated as supplement on Friday. Members, you will remember that the item was removed from the last meeting of Cabinet as an incorrect appendix was included. The correct in the supplement and the appendices are before us today. Officers, have you anything further to add? Oh, Karen Jones, please, Chief Exec.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I think obviously what we've heard in the Scrutiny Committee is a number of suggestions of a range of additional ways in which we could look to engage with the public to encourage more participation in the Council's decision-making processes. And we've made a note of those, I'm sure, in the minutes of the Scrutiny Committee. And I note that the Scrutiny Committee were happy to commend the report as it stands to the Cabinet. It is due to go to Council tomorrow because it is something that the full Council needs to endorse. So I think from my point of view, what I would ask the Cabinet to consider this afternoon is that we take this document forward as a starting point, given that the legislation is brand new. We've already heard from the Scrutiny Committee that it's likely that they will want to take quite a keen interest in the way in which the strategy is implemented and the difference it makes. And I think then that during the course of the year, we can be looking at taking on board the points that the Scrutiny Committee has made, together with any other ideas that come forward as we start the implementation process, but that we don't delay taking it to Council tomorrow for approval, because we do have a legal requirement to meet with it. As I say, I think it's brand new and it's a starter for 10. And I think over the coming years, what we'll see hopefully is it'll develop and improve, and we'll see more people actually taking up the options now for them to come and make their views known to you.
Thank you, Karen. This item is for immediate implementation. Taking on board what our Chief Executive has said, could I ask the Scrutiny Chair to confirm that you are happy with this course of action, please?
I'm happy with this, Chair.
Thank you, Phil. I'll now refer to members. Do members have any further questions on this item? Councillor Llewellyn, please.
Yes, thanks, Chair. It's not a question as such, but it's just to acknowledge the issues and queries that were raised during scrutiny, and thank the Chair of Scrutiny for his contribution now. And I think that I'm sure we'll be happy to support the course of action recommended by the Chief Executive. As it states on page 19, this will be the first public participation strategy for Neath Talbot, so it is a significant step forward, and I'm sure we can take on board many of the suggestions, plus others that will emerge during the further consultations with members after we adopt the current version of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Any other member have any further comments? Okay, I now refer members to the recommendation on page 27 on the associated appendices with the information supplied by our Chief Exec. Can I ask, I will propose this recommendation. Please, could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? I see none. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations. And Tammy, if you could confirm the outcome for me, please.
Yes, I see no indications to the contrary, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 8 is the Corporate Plan Strategic Change Programme for the period 2023-2024. The report is on page 123 to 180, and it's here for a decision. Do officers have any further comments to add, please? Karen Jones, please.
Yes, again, Chair, I try to be helpful to capture the debate and scrutiny and the amendments that we probably want to think about taking forward so that this can go before Council tomorrow and hopefully receive support from Council. There were a number of points made in scrutiny that I think you might want to think about building into the final draft. The point made by Councillor Sean Percy about the removal of the words reducing reliance on private vehicles, I would suggest, listening to the debate, you might be minded to reinsert them. There was a reference then to the active travel plan, and I think that now needs to be amended to be the active travel network map to give it its correct title. And then the proposal from Councillor Phillips was that we should make sure we're on page 133, where we make that very brief reference to the climate change motion that was approved by Council last year, that we expand that part of the document to articulate the essence of the motion the Council supported, and that we repeat that on the top of the following page, so that frames the actions for next year that then follow. And just picking up on a point that Councillor Sean Percy also made, there's reference in the actions for 23-24 to the rights of way, but there isn't an action there in relation to active travel. And clearly, as part of the budget, you've approved additional resources for us to bid for additional funding from Welsh Government to be able to extend the network itself. And it may be that there's some actions as well on promoting and encouraging people to reduce their reliance on private vehicles that could go in there as well. So I'll need to check with my colleague Nicola Pierce what those specific actions could be, because we need to make sure we've put in there details that we can deliver and are funded at this point in time. But that's what I would suggest, Leader, is that we that you consider moving that as an amendment to the document that's before you. And with your agreement then, if Cabinet is so minded, I will make sure that there's an addendum circulated at Council tomorrow to reflect the additional wording that we're proposing is put into the plan, so that members can be clear what's going to end up in the final version. So I hope that wasn't too rambling and makes sense of what the Scrutiny Committee said this afternoon.
Thank you, Karen. I do have a wording to read out. I'll put that to members, and if they, before they vote on it, maybe then you can just check with what I say. But on this item, it's also for immediate implementation. Could the Scrutiny Chair, listening to what our Chief Executive said, taking on board all of what the Chief said, confirm you are happy with this course of action also, please?
I'm happy with the amendments, Chair.
Thank you. I will now confirm the wording of the recommendation for this item. That the revised strategy change programme for the period 2023-2024, as detailed within the circulated report, be commended to Council for adoption, providing the following change be made to the report prior to the meeting of Council. That the reference to climate change on page 133 of the circulated report be expanded to reflect the climate change motion approved at Council earlier this civic year, and that this committee is repeated on page 134 of the circulated report to underline the commitment to advancing this work in the civic year, pending a fuller review of the corporate plan for the period 1st of April 2024 onwards. And 2, that the head of People and Organisational Development be given delegated authority in consultation with the Leader, Deputy Leader and Chief Executive to make any further changes that are necessary prior to final publication and which do not materially change the content of the programme. That is the suggested wording to Cabinet that I would like to put forward. Karen Jones, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think that does reflect the points that Councillor Phillips was making, but there were those additional points that Councillor Percy made as well in relation to active travel specifically. Yeah? So I think what the recommendation there would be is that following on from the points made at the Cabinet Scrutiny Committee, the words reducing reliant on private vehicles is reinserted into the actions associated with active travel, that the reference to the active travel plan is updated to read active travel network map, and that an additional action or actions is inserted against that area of the plan to reflect the work that is intended to be done in 2023-24. So there were three specific points. One was the reference to the plan was incorrect. One was to retain the wording that was in the original plan. And the third one was there was a missing action because that part of the plan was only describing what we were doing on rights of way and it wasn't picking up the work that we were planning to do on active travel. So not quite sure whether that's an omission. Probably it is in all the drafting, but we can bring that wording in front of Council tomorrow so members can satisfy themselves that that's an appropriate action.
Thank you for that, Karen. You've all heard the word in there, and as it'll be in front of Council tomorrow in appropriate wording. So with those other three recommendations, well, not recommendations, sorry, changes to the proposal, I'll ask members, have they got any further questions on this item?
No, I don't have any further questions, Chair, but just to say I think it's a good summary of the discussion and the very valuable points that were raised in scrutiny. Excellent.
With all the Karen said and what I have read out, I now refer members to the recommendations on page 27 and the associated appendices. I will propose this item, so please could I have a seconder, please?
Falch please to second.
Any abstentions?
I see no abstentions, Chair.
Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations. Amy?
There are no indications to the contrary, Chair, so that those recommendations have been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, members. Agenda item 9 is urgent items. I have no urgent items this afternoon, and that will conclude our meeting. Can I thank you for your attendance? Can I thank the Scrutiny Committee once more and for the Cabinet members for the business of today? Thank you.